Hail and kill, caller. You're on the air.
Neely, you negative fuck. The guy's trying to do something for the podcast community, and you have to bring him down like
I'm
that.
not doing that, Bob. I'm not bringing him down. I just want to understand how this goes, because you, as a podcaster yourself, you should know the difference, because you currently have been producing these fantastic documentaries that the end game is there is some remuneration at the end of the day.
Well, thank you, Neely. But, you got to start somewhere. I think Chris has got a passion for doing this. I mean, you look at the Foundation Forum when they first started, and what was the first one? 88. Bob Chaparty. I mean, obviously they were a major management company. Him and Walter O'Brien, I think his name was, from Concrete Marketing and Concrete Management, and they started something. But it's a risk. You do something if it's for a good cause. There's a lot of podcasters out there, particularly that do metal shows, like you and me and several others that have a lot of fans out there that, hey, I support this guy.
Well, that's all well and fine, and I agree with your premise there. But what is the end game?
Who knows what if there is an end game, or
but don't you
predict what it might be?
But don't you do this with a goal?
I think if he was to break even, he would be happy, and I think that's and that's a hard thing to do, is just to break even on something like that. Sure, it's a risk.
I agree.
Anytime you're doing the first of of anything, whether it's a convention of a certain kind of, I'm sure there's been several podcasting conventions throughout the last few years of but of mainstream podcasts and whatever. And podcasting is a big thing, and he's taking a risk. And if it doesn't, it's just like a promoter, like you said, doing a show. You never know. But I think a lot of these guys.
But you keep using the term taking a risk. A risk to do what? What's the end game?
Well, I mean, he could do it as an annual event. I mean, let's say he does this. It goes extremely well, better than he ever imagined it. Then he plans it for next year, does it bigger, has bigger guests, has bigger name artists to come in, sign pictures. Maybe has bands perform there. Like, a Foundations Forum started as nothing. Then they ended up, I saw Ozzy there in the hotel lobby, perform a concert. Pantera, one of their very first concerts, they performed after Cowboys for Hell. I saw them in the hotel lobby perform Killer Show. I saw Kiss play a show there. I saw Judas Priest. And these are all in hotel lobbies, and they started out with, nothing. So who knows what the end game is? I'm not saying that, their end game is going to be anything like, like Foundation's Forum, but I'm just saying you don't know what the end game is.
What did Foundation Forum get out of this?
Well, I don't know if you've ever been to any of those.
Well, I know what they are.
3 or 4 years.
But what did they get out of it? Did they get sponsors? Did they get deals?
As far as that, yeah. I mean, all the labels were sponsoring them. I don't know if they did. Again, like I said, they were an established marketing company that worked with all these labels. I mean, that obviously is something different. I know Chris and Decibel Geek's a very small entity compared to what Concrete was, or say the CMJ, or the Album Network used to have conventions. Now it's harder than ever to do a successful convention. I think the only big music convention that really kind of matters nowadays is South by Southwest. I mean, CMG, all those others. I mean, Album Network had one. I mean, they all had FMQB. I mean, back in the day, there were tons of these conventions going on. But what was the question again? The end game?
Well, what's the end game? I mean, I could understand this premise if you say, well, we invited a bunch of, sponsors to this thing, and maybe we as podcasters would be lucky enough to sign up with, I don't know, Tide or
that's where
FedEx or whatever to sponsor your podcast. Now,
I agree. I see what you're saying, and my opinion is I agree that if he's going to do this and he's going to do it right, I want to see it successful. He's going to have to spend some money on it. If I was Chris, Maybe get a publicist, get Chipster, hire Chipster PR. He's obviously it's not cheap, but he's a good investment. He knows the metal community, or there's tons of metal publicists that use guys. I know Chris has used a couple for his book, but that's the first thing he should be doing and reaching out to the big metal community. I mean, if he does want to see a success out of this, my thought is he's going to have to put some investment in, and it's whether he could get sponsors to sponsor it, to put up some investment, or if he's going to get enough. I mean, the crowdfunding thing is tough. I mean, we tried that. It's a pain in the ass.
Sure it is.
And it's not an easy thing. And, but some people have been very successful about it. And it's not even a matter of how popular whatever you're selling is or whatever you're trying to get funded is. It's about how social network savvy you are, and you got to be on it all the time, and hitting up everybody, basically, as you say, begging for money is what it comes down to, and you just got to be persistent at it. But sure, I mean, there's no reason why you can't raise $50,000, especially if you're going to get people like Max Norman or name producers like that, and a lot of it obviously depends on that, is who he gets to either sign autographs or to do meet and greets and that kind of thing.
All right. Well, again, I just wanted to know what this is geared toward. I mean, I understand the casual fan who might wander into this thing, but, if you're going to have a formal event, the idea in my mind would be, well, we're having this event in order to advertise podcasters that are in this genre, whatever it is, and we're trying to market this toward this sponsor or that sponsor, so we would all benefit somehow for taking the time out and renting this room and coming here and getting these celebrities to show up and all these other things. The end game is we walked away because we walked away with some kind of a signed contract with, who knows, FedEx, UPS. I'm just throwing names out here. And we all benefited from this because we got some kind of a commercial support for our podcast.
Chris, where are you? Why don't you chime in here, Mr. Aiken? Are you still alive?
I'm here. No, I'm just listening, and I'm not as pessimistic as Neely seems to be on this. I think it's more the cause than the effect. Honestly,
I think that's what they're looking for. Yeah, I think they want to have fun. I love Neely. He's a man of reasoning. Everything's got to have a reason, and Neely is not the risk taker, whereas Chris. I could tell you've taken many risks in your life, Chris.
What?
But I think Neely always likes to play things safe, and I think with some people just want to, try something new, try something different, not knowing what the end game is going to be. I mean, it could be a total bomb. Do you think when these promoters do these festivals, I mean, there could probably be a ton of people telling these promoters that do. I mean, you guys talked about on your show, certain these big festivals where the promoter lost their ass and couldn't even afford to pay the band. And I'm sure they probably had a bunch of friends telling them, dude, what are you doing? You're not going to put up your money and time into this. You're going to fail. And he probably says, fuck you, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. And, you're not going to know until you do it. Sometimes you got to fail. Sometimes you got to fuck up. And but that's the only way you'll really know. I mean, like I said, it could be something really big, and it could not even take off. And I'm sure if he starts the campaign, the crowdfunding campaign, and he tries to get sponsors, and he sees that there's no finance coming in, I'm sure, it'd be smart for him just to say, hey, it's not happening. Let me do it. I agree with what Chris said. You should at least give it another year. You need a year to promote this. You're not going to be able to do it big. This is just my opinion. Unless you have a ton of money to do some major advertising, you got to give it about a year.
Now you're in my camp, Bob. I'm sorry, but you've already swam over to my shores over here. You're in my camp. Because that's exactly my point. It says, how well is this going to be advertised, and who's going to know about it, and who's going to see it, And I agree with Chris. This needs more groundwork before you decide to launch that thing.
Sure. Well, you do want to keep it fresh. You don't want to do it too long. But the fact that you're talking about it now and I'm on the phone with you and you got how many million listeners are listening, just the fact that people are listening now, they're going to know about it.
Which is why I wanted to talk about it on the show. I didn't want it to be a secret and just go talk about it amongst ourselves. I wanted to let the fans who obviously have an interest in what we do, because they're the ones who, have made that 3 million downloads possible for us. So it's just like, okay, well, if this is going to happen, are you interested in participating in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. I think the fact that you're talking about it, hopefully there'll be other podcasts talking about it, and word will get out. But apart from just doing that, I do agree. He's going to have to spend some money. He's going to need to get like a publicist. He's going to need to get some sponsors, some people to back it. And I'm sure there's plenty of sponsors that would do it, especially if he could start getting some named people. I mean, he's just going to have to call up all the favors, the people he's interviewed and stuff, and see if they could do. I mean, all you really need is one big name guy, and the sponsors will be coming,
Yeah, and the sponsorship shouldn't be that hard. I would imagine you could go to anywhere that sells microphones or mixing boards and get a sponsorship for $100.
Again, I mean, any person that's going to be a sponsor, that's going to put money. I mean, I've been involved as you know with Mike Zinna. He's starting out Zinna TV on T Radio V, and it's about getting sponsors, but you got to show them that you're serious. He has a professional. He just bought a new studio, a new building, Zinna. So you watch it, you see the quality, it's done right, and then you're going to get people interested. Wow, this is really done right, and that's something he's going to have to do. He's got to at least get important people involved, get a big publicist, get people that were sponsors or whoever, or even people that are going to do crowdfunding. If someone's going to put $50 in this crowdfunding, they want to see this thing take off, and it's a matter of getting the right people involved to make sure it happens. So.
Well, speaking of important people involved, will a Bob Nalbandian be making an appearance at this thing?
I don't know. I don't know if I could afford a trip to Nashville for this. We'll see. I might. I mean, again, it depends on who shows up. It depends how big an event it is. If he makes it a killer event where people, like myself or anyone from California or from New York or from Florida or whatever is going to want to, spend a few $100, taking the trip out there, he's got to make it worthwhile. And that's, if he's going to attract people from all over the country, he's got to make it a big event, definitely.
Sure.
Chris.
Well, I agree with you,
Chris
Bob.
And
I think the presence of, a world-renowned, Emmy-winning producer, director, documentarian like a Bob Nalbandian were to show up, I think it would be a huge success.
Sure, and it's not Emmy winning, it's Heavy Metal TV winning, which is absolutely more unpopular than any fucking Emmy award.
I should know,
or any Grammy award,
because I presented the award.
Absolutely, and I've got the video.
There you go.
Proof it. But no, I wish him all the luck. I hope it does well, and we'll see. We'll see, Mr. Neely.
Well, since
what he should do, though. I mean, not to interrupt, but I'm thinking if he was to tie it in with an event, like say, like the NAMM show. I'm just saying, a California that happens in Anaheim. If he was to tie it in, maybe a few days before NAMM or after NAMM, and do it that way, people are already going to be in town, so all they have to do is maybe extend it a day or two, or do it as a part of NAMM or whatever. When that's why so many bands play around NAMM time. They'll do. I mean, you saw the shows that was happening.
Yeah, the
that
showcases.
Weekend.
Yeah,
but sure, if you line it up with a big event. I mean, shit. That's how the porn awards got so big. The AVN, they lined it up with the CSS in Vegas, and they got all the the CES, the electronic convention, which is like one of the biggest conventions in Vegas. They lined it up the same time, and all the fucking electronic computer nerds were going over to the porn convention. and that's how they made their name for themselves. So if he was to do the same thing, but there's a little advice for you.
Sure.
Chris from Decibel Geek.
All right. I think Chris could benefit.
Tied in with a porn convention. There you go.
Yeah, I think Chris could benefit from the vast experience and the insight of a Bob Nalbandian.
Yes. Well, maybe soon enough he'll be a bobblehead as well.
Exactly. So, Bob, what's going on in your world? Where are you at with the documentaries now? What phase are you in, and what are you working on?
The editing phase is just always a holding phase. The Rise of LA Thrash Metal is being edited. We're going to Vegas this week for the UFO Saxon show. So I'm going to finally do the final interview that I've been holding out for the San Francisco. We've got probably over 40 to 50, close to 50, if not more, interviews for the San Francisco already, and we were missing one, and that was Mike Barney. And so we're going to finally get him in Vegas. We're going to the UFO Saxon show on Sunday. So we're going to spend a couple of days, the weekend. We're going to interview, hopefully, Frank Domino. Hopefully a couple guys from Saxon and UFO. The manager, Adam Parsons, is a very good friend of mine. We're going to interview him, and he's going to try to line up a couple of them. And that'll be for the Band vs. Brand documentary. So once after this Vegas trip, we're going to lock that in and hopefully finish, start editing the Band vs. Brand documentary and also the San Francisco one, because they'll both be done by that time. So you guys' scene will be will be shown throughout the big screens across America real soon.
Nice. Did you say Alan Parsons is a friend of yours?
Yeah, the Alan Parsons project.
Wow.
Alan Parsons?
How cool!
No,
how cool
Parsons.
is that to know the guy that produced Dark Side of the Moon?
No, it's not Alan Parsons. I meant to say Adam Parsons. Did I say Alan? Yeah, I probably did. I don't even remember. But no, Adam actually manages Saxon and Europe and Black Star Riders, Thin Lizzy. So he's a good guy. I've known him for many years.
Sure. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm glad to see things are moving along for you, and you're obviously very busy with that. And how long ago did you start this whole thing? This was like 3 years ago?
Shit. 2000, and it's 2012, I think.
Oh man, it's been 5 years.
I'm horrible with dates. I'm gonna have to check with Carl. He knows all the dates.
But did you ever envision that your interest or your involvement with this music would lead to this?
Yes, that was my end game. See, I had an end game in mind. No, actually, I did. I planned that. I mean, I expected it to do pretty well. I know I've had a knowledge in this business, and I knew what I wanted, and I could get the interviews, and I knew we had a very, very low budget, and we're just going to have to make the most of it. And it did pretty much what I expected. But again, because I planned it out, and it was actually, I'm kind of lying there. A lot of the stuff was kind of unplanned. The way we went about it, we just went about because we had never done anything before. But we did do the research. It's just that we were kind of new to the whole, movie documentary thing. So we probably did shit ass backwards. But you learn from what you do and what the mistakes you make. And now I dig it. It's a lot of fun.
Good for you. Well, both Chris, I'm going to speak for Chris and myself. We're very, very proud of your accomplishments and the cool thing that you're bringing to the fans, because what you're doing is not an overproduced, over edited. It seems like it's very real, very bare bones, documentary that with the real people involved, and they're not just like again, Sam Dunn has had some pretty good documentaries, but I've seen both yours and Sam's, and not to take away from Sam, but what you do, it seems like it's more on a personal level.
I appreciate that. That's really what we were going for. And I think most people that know me or know what I've done, I've always did things on a very underground level. I've never reached that big commercial status of, whatever I did, even with working at the labels and this and that, it was very independent and very underground. And that's kind of the approach we went at when we started the Inside Metal. And I think Carl is the same way, and as well as Joe Floyd. And go ahead.
Well, I think that probably the thing that would put you over the top if you could include Eddie Trunk a little more.
I would love to interview Eddie for the Band vs. Brand, but I don't know how often he gets to L.A., and now I'm in Sacramento, so it's not as easy for me to get down to L.A. to do stuff. But I would definitely have Eddie in one of the documentaries.
Because why wouldn't you? He's responsible for every band you've ever seen.
Of course he is. Are we getting into this whole Eddie Trunk thing again? You always try to drag me into your fucking Eddie Trunk drama.
Well, maybe he'll be at the UFO show on Sunday.
I wondered if he does. All he does is talk about Vegas and how much he loves Vegas. So he actually might just be there.
He might. There you go. Corner him and get it.
If he does, I'll get a nice autographed picture with you, with him and I there, Chris.
Oh, perfect. Can't wait to see it.
I'll whip it out for you. You can see.
Hey, I'm not the one that has a problem with Eddie Trunk. It's somebody else on this call.
I heard the what was the last Eddie Trunk thing you did? It was about
where he was losing his mind over the fact that they were playing Metallica when Dave Mustaine accepted his Grammy Award.
Yeah, that was funny, and the whole thing with the microphone and all that. Yeah,
he was getting all high voice like a 12-year-old boy, just on the verge of his voice changing.
I heard that. He gets very passionate. See, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I mean, not just that, but the whole Hall of Fame shit. They're fucking idiots. Why even waste time? And I would tell this to Eddie straight up. It's like, dude, why the fuck do you give a shit about what Jan Wenner? It's his whole fucking political thing that he does with it has nothing to do with music, nothing to do with metal. Most people will tell you that. I understand it's a prestigious thing, as the Grammys are for people, so I understand why the artists get excited about it. But for someone like Eddie or anyone to get that, it's like the less attention you give them, the better to the heavy metal community. I think the heavy metal, like I was just saying earlier, it's an underground. Keep it underground. We don't need to be on the Grammys. You don't need to see, Metallica with Lady Gaga. If they want to do it for their own purpose, like they did with Lou Reed or whatever artistic, or that's fine, or whatever. But not for the, whole Grammy thing, just to have metal be a part of the Grammys. And I could give a fuck. It doesn't matter to me.
And the interesting thing is, dude, you know what the most interesting thing is the bands cause, just talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the bands cause that to be important, because 99% of the music fans couldn't give a shit about the rock. I mean, when is the last time?
A lot of them do, though. A lot of the younger fans and a lot of the mainstream fans. But here's the thing, Chris, and this is why everybody, and I don't know, I've never been in a band. I've never been in let alone a band that's been at the level of Metallica or whatever, but all these bands want to be hip with the youth, whether it be a Metallica or what the fuck is Jeff Beck? All right, here's Jeff Beck, one of the most renowned jazz guitar players. What the fuck is he doing an album with some fucking millennial fucking band that's not even good? Some shit chick band he did some record with. It's like, dude, you're fucking Jeff Beck. What are you thinking? You don't need, but these artists want to be relevant. Why do you think fucking Steven Tyler's doing whatever fucking thing there's the moment of the month? He's now doing
Tony
country.
Bennett.
How
many of those Tony Bennett duets things are out there?
Exactly, and I guess, if you look at it, they've conquered everything, and they just want to be hip to the newer generation, maybe to keep their legacy going. I don't know, but it seems to be something with, all artists of that, Ozzy, all these artists, they're trying to gear themselves to the hipsters. The funny thing is they rag on the millennials and the hipsters, yet they keep trying to, cater to them. It's like, And that's the same thing with what I think with Eddie Trunk's doing. As much as he's ragging on them, he's catering to them. He's giving them more attention. He's giving them more credit than they deserve. Making it look like these guys are some big thing. And it's like, fuck it. Don't even talk about them. If no one in the metal community even talks about them, then the metal bands wouldn't even give a shit. That's what I think.
Yeah, well, and I'm especially with the Rock Hall because it's here. The Rock Hall's been here for 20 years or roughly 20 years. I've been there once, and I was there once too many times. It's a fucking bag of shit. And
of course it is, dude. It's a commercial entity. Well, look at let alone the metal bands. Look at what Steve Miller was saying about them. They wanted to charge for his guests for his fucking band and his fucking wife $10,000 a ticket. And then they go there and they just treat him like he's nobody. Like, okay, we just, you're Steve Miller. We got to give you cred. Same with Deep Purple. Just the fact that it took them that long for Deep Purple. Now it's, they finally got Deep Purple. How great. No, it's not fucking great. It took them 20 fucking years. The only reason they did this is because of all the fucking pressure. They have to do it eventually. Like, eventually, almost everyone's going to get in there. It could be 20 years or whatever, except for Ted Nugent. I doubt they'll ever put him in there. But, again, like I said, it's a political thing. I mean, I don't know if UFO will ever get in there or Thin Lizzy, although they should. I would imagine in the next 5 to 10 years, enough people are going to complain that they'll do it. But my whole thing is, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck if, And I think most of the bands are now kind of saying that. They don't really give a shit that much, and they should be more vocal about it, and then no one would give a shit about it.
And it doesn't benefit him any. I mean, does Steve Miller get more money now when he goes out on tour because he's Hall of Famer Steve Miller?
Probably, yeah. I mean, that is what is true. I mean, I'm very proud and happy that Megadeth got a Grammy. It was long, overdue, well deserved. I talked to Dave Mustaine, I talked to David Ellison. Obviously, they're stoked about it. It definitely does bring up their whatever you would call it, their credibility, so to speak, into the mainstream. And look, every artist wants to be successful. I get that, and nowadays, like, everybody's kind of selling out. So what is selling out these days, So, and you got to do what you got to do because you're not getting the money in from the CDs or whatever. So, to an extent, I'm not saying I back it, but I understand it.
I could not disagree with you more, Bob. I do not for a minute think that Megadeth's credibility is more now than it was in 1992, 3, 4, 5 when they were doing Euthanasia, Rust in Peace, 90 to 95.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying back then, but definitely over the last several years, absolutely. I mean, look, maybe not to the heavy metal community. Now, people that never heard of Megadeth before now are familiar with the band. I'm not saying, I'm not giving cred to the fucking Grammys by any means, but, I'm just being honest. Yeah, it does bring credibility to more the mainstream, and so they may get, played more on the radio, which they already are. I actually been hearing Megadeth now on the radio a little bit more. So it does mean something.
Neely,
they might not play the new album, which won a Grammy. They might play,
Le Monde, the same that they've been playing for
exactly.
years. Neely, what do you think?
Well, going back to the discussion that we had when all this took place and Eddie was losing his fucking mind, even the people and, the mistake that was made that they were playing the Metallica song when, Dave went to accept his award. My point then was just that even the people that worked behind the scenes who were supposed to orchestrate this whole thing, they couldn't tell you the difference between Megadeth and Metallica.
I agree with you 100%.
Yep. So it's just like, that's just, one metal band's the same as the other metal band. Who cares?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't give a shit.
No.
But your question was, does it give cred to the artist? Whether or not they give a shit and what little attention they give to the actual metal artist or what respect they give to them, it still does give cred to the artists, to more the mainstream and to radio. It brings awareness to them. Put it that way.
Yeah, but for how long? But
for that week,
who
maybe.
knows? Yeah. Well, dude, what do you think about your friend, which I'm not a big fan of, but I know you, Chris, a Hailstorm.
Yeah.
The fact that they won a Grammy, nobody knew Hailstorm. I'm saying as far as mainstream people, of course, the people that follow them or follow that scene, of course, know them. But the mainstream, nobody knew who Hailstorm was. All of a sudden, people knew about it. And same with Ghost. Nobody.
Hold on, Bob. When did Hailstorm win their Grammy? Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
It would have been not this year. Last year was Ghost. So was it the previous year? I think. I guess.
So yeah, 3 years ago, roughly. If you asked 100 people that are into Hailstorm if they have a Grammy, how many would know that?
All of them.
No way. No way.
People that are into them or that aren't?
That just know of them. That hear them on the radio.
That aren't into them. I thought you said that are into them.
No, that just know their songs from the radio.
No, I mean, you would have to be a music fan. If you knew them from the radio, what I'm saying is that's probably what got these fans to start listening to them. And that's what got them on the radio. Dude, before they won the Grammy, they weren't on the radio. Maybe back there they were. Or they had no... they were getting interviews from major radio stations after they got that Grammy. And, you would... And it was a big thing, obviously, because it was a chick singer that, so they made that whole thing about it. And it was a big, dude, it was a big thing. I mean, and the mainstream press, and when you're talking about mainstream magazines and mainstream media, they were getting on, these, Inside Edition or Entertainment Tonight and all that kind of stuff. To the mainstream, it is a big thing.
All right. Well, I guess maybe because I'm so outside the mainstream, I just don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, it might not last. Just like, nowadays, I don't think it's as big as getting, a Grammy back in the 80s or whatever, or any kind of award back then, because you didn't have social media and it wasn't so quick. So I do agree that maybe next year it won't mean anything. But
I just think that unless it's within short earshot, people don't know. And maybe it's initial boost, but like I'll just throw Pearl Jam as just a random name. Does Pearl Jam have a Grammy?
I'm sure they do. I don't know. I'm sure they've probably got several.
But that's my point. You don't know. Does Whitesnake have a Grammy?
I know Whitesnake. I know actually for a fact that Pearl Jam does have a Grammy. I don't know if it was best album or what it was, but I doubt Whitesnake has one.
But you don't know for sure.
No, I pretty much know that they don't.
Does Warrant have a Grammy?
But I don't. I see, again, Chris, I don't follow the mainstream.
Me either.
And what I'm saying, it's not the fans that follow it. I'm saying it's the radio stations that follow it that gives the exposure to it. Or MTV. I don't even know if MTV even does music anymore. But back in the day, if somebody won a Grammy, it would be on the MTV Music News, and it would be on so-and-so news, and it would be so-and-so, and that would get people, that might not have watched the Grammys. And, a lot of people do watch the Grammys, too, which, people that are into different kinds of music. So it, obviously it resonates to them as well. But believe me, I don't like it. I'm just saying what I think is fact. I mean, the fact that I think it's a bunch of bullshit, but to a lot of people, it does mean a lot. It is a big thing.
All right. You're allowed to be wrong, Bob. It's okay.
Yeah.
See, you guys are so stuck into your Midwest mentality there in, Illinois and in, Ohio that you don't really see what's around more of the mainstream. And not that I do that much, but be it from LA or whatever, you hear more of the hype and the whatever coming from that. And, that's why, to me, I don't think, if I was a metal band, I wouldn't give a shit about that Hollywood, kind of thing. But I think the bands, they realize that's a step up for them to get popular or to sell more records or to just build their presence. You got to work it while you can. You might only have a few months to work it after you win, say, a Grammy or you are I guess being in the Hall of Fame is a little bit bigger thing, but the point is you just got to work it while you can, man, and just, make the most of it, and just to raise your presence, just, sell bigger venues, to sell more tickets, to sell more merchandise, whatever it might be. The bands definitely do benefit by. So I understand that from a commercial standpoint. They might not even look at it as a fame standpoint about, we're going to win a Grammy. They might just look at it, fuck yeah, we're going to sell a lot more downloads. We're going to sell a lot more merchandise now. We're going to sell a lot more tickets. It's going to raise our presence. So, I'm sure that plays into it as well. Do you agree or disagree?
Go ahead, Neely.
Well, we don't accept the swishy gays back here in the Midwest either, Bob, so...
That's right. I forgot, dude. Illinois don't have any gay people. How is that, man?
No, the swish...
so goddamn manly.
The swishy gays.
Just the swishy kind. Those are your favorite kind, though. Like that one guy that I introduced you to at the NAMM
Those
show.
are the ones who are most noticeable.
Well, they are indeed, especially in L.A. Well, you ran across a couple of them at the Cheesecake Factory over in Chicago. And how many times have you frequented it since, Neely? You've been there daily since then, right?
No.
No?
No.
Weekly?
No.
No?
Nope. Afraid not, Bob.
All right. So, how did this get to this?
Well,
we were talking about the podcast thing. And
we were, but you wanted to chime in on the podcast because that is something you have personal experience with and all that, and you you basically wanted to shame me into believing I'm wrong with my premise, but that's okay.
No, I'm just trying to tell you, why are you giving this poor guy shit?
I'm not.
Something.
I'm opening it up for discussion, and obviously you felt compelled to take your phone out of your pocket and dial the studio line so you could put in your 2 cents.
I'll tell you this. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm saying you don't know how it's going to turn out.
I don't know how it's going to turn out, which is why I'm asking the question.
And I don't think everybody, just like you were, like maybe how the people don't do it for the Grammy, they do it for the the investment, how much money their presence is going to build from that. And the same with doing something like this convention. It might not be at all for the money. Like I said, if he breaks even, or even if he loses money, but he gets more the podcast builds a bigger presence. I mean, there's a lot of stuff indirectly that could benefit, that people could benefit from.
Well, you're preaching to the choir here. You're talking to a 21-year veteran here who's self-financed my show for 21 years.
That is true, Mr. Neely. So if anyone knows about working without making money, it's you.
Yep, but it was never about making money from...
Well, there you go.
But the thing is I haven't heard that from that end to say, this isn't about making money. This is just about to get a bunch of good fellas in the same room and say, we're all podcasters. Yay!
What are they supposed to advertise that? Are they supposed to put a post on Facebook? This isn't about money.
No, this was about.
I know how much you love Facebook.
No, this was part of the invite. This was part of the invite to say this isn't about making money. This is about saying, hey, we're in solidarity here, and we're all here to say we podcast and we're proud.
Well, I would imagine since he emailed you, you could have emailed the question back.
That's right.
But
Neely.
Why
didn't you do that?
Because I wanted to make it an open discussion.
Well, why would you advertise anything and say this isn't about money? All that's showing is that you're trying to show that you're this underground loyal guy. Maybe it is. That means if you end up making money on it, everyone's going to rag on you and say, dude, you said this wasn't about making money and you profited.
Well, I'm not saying that it needs to be advertised as such, but the people who are invited to participate, that would be, part of it. This is just about solidarity, and this is about us all getting together, but that's not the same.
Well, you know what? He probably doesn't know what it's about until it happens.
Well, I guess I'm too practical.
Maybe if it does end up making money.
I guess I'm too practical, Bob.
no. See, the thing is, if it ends up not making money, then he goes out and advertises. This was never about making money. This wasn't about making money. It was about the solidarity. And then if it ends up making money, he would say, well, it wasn't really about making money, but we ended up making money, which was great. But our main focus wasn't the money. It was the solidarity. But, we ended up making money.
I didn't realize you were such a politician, Bob.
That's how politics work. That's how life in general works.
Let me offer this real quick about Chris from Decibel Geek. He's a little bit of a
wait. Did Eddie Trump just chime in the chat room saying, "You mad, bro"? Is he talking about me?
Might have.
Is Eddie ragging about me there?
He might be.
He just popped up in the chat room.
I know this.
Eddie's going by the name of Demon now. I guess he's a demon. Crazy.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Chris from Decibel Geek is a little bit of a risk taker himself. If he's got he's one of these guys that does a lot of shit out of passion. His podcast being one of them. So it doesn't surprise me very much that he would pick a passion project and try and do it on the biggest scale like he's doing. I mean, that's just not surprising.
That's what the documentary was. I mean, that's what, most of the stuff we've done is, out of passion. I mean, when I did the documentary, I had no idea, I did my research and I made myself believe that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm not going to do it half-assed. We're going to do as many interviews. We're going to make it the most, it might not be the best or the best quality kind of documentary, but it'll be the most thorough, knowledgeable documentary about the LA scene of that era, and that was our goal. So whether, we made a ton of money or not, we made our goal. We got, I think from the artists and everyone else, they've kind of said the same thing. This was, the most, I mean, they come out, big fans of that era saying, dude, there was so much stuff I learned from this that I never knew. And that's what makes me happy. So I'm sure there's something with Chris if, people end up talking about the convention, even if it didn't make money or if it wasn't that successful. But, hey, man, I went to your convention and I fucking got laid by this big-titted blonde chick. They're going to remember that and start talking about it. So, Yeah.
Well, Bob. Obviously, you have a open mind about both sides of the coin there. So,
No, as in the three sides of the coin.
Yeah, well, you know what the thing is, I don't know those guys. I've seen their video podcasts, and boy,
now Chris is a part of that too on occasion, isn't he?
I think he guests in sometimes.
They could use a lot of help. They could use a lot of help in the technical
thing, right?
and the directing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They could use a lot of
help.
Well,
you guys, you and Neely could do two sides of the quarter.
No, we're just happy to be the hateful bastards we've been accused of being.
And that you are.
We've heard from various camps that there are certain people out there in the world of music that are not happy with us.
Yeah, you better watch out, man. You better watch your back, dude.
Sure.
You might get butt fucked from behind.
let's hope that doesn't happen.
Just like Chris Porter says in his comedy routine.
Right. It's too good. Too good. Anything else going on in your world, Bob?
Shit, that's about it, man. I just, I popped in the chat room and I heard the conversation and I figured I might as well chime in.
Well, see, you were moved.
Give my opinion.
You were moved by the discussion.
I was moved by the classic metal show.
That's right.
That was your whole end game. You just tried to move me, Neely.
Yeah.
You're getting that swishy feeling, I think, man. Maybe it's time for me to hang up and don't be getting swishy on me there, Neely.
Right.
I saw the shit he was doing at the convention, man. But Chris, I'll have to tell you about that sometime.
Really gay?
Oh, fuck, beyond gay.
Beyond
I mean, even gay people would look at it and go, God damn, you fucking faggot, what are you doing? That's how gay it was.
That's like really gay. That's really gay.
It's extremely gay.
Right.
Beyond gay. Anyway, nothing against gay people, of course. I still love you, Neely. And believe me, dude, I think your fans will understand that, just because you're gay, I don't think your fans will care. They love your talent. So
sure.
No need to worry about it. You too, Chris. I mean, don't feel that, you need to justify anything.
I'm the first one to admit I love to suck a good dick every now and again. Hey, it's fine with me.
Well, there you go. See? I don't think your listenership will go down. I think the end game will be just the same.
Right.
There you go. And I don't do it for money. I do it for the fun of it.
Well, there you go. See? Now you can go out and say that, and people will respect you more. It's like, man, he's a true gay queer. Chris,
right.
Man. He does it
queer.
for the love of sucking dick.
You call it the end game. I call it the rear end game, okay?
Let's just hope that Dave Mustaine doesn't end us suing us for using end game so many times in one conversation.
Well, I know Dave. He doesn't have quite the Gene Simmons in him. But if it was a Kiss lyric or a Kiss album, I'm sure Gene would come after you.
Sure. Well, Chris had the pleasure of speaking with the other Dave about his coffee the other day.
I did.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I heard he's been doing. He's doing well, man. Dude, that guy keeps. He did the narration for this Thrash episode as well. I don't know anyone that keeps busier than David Ellison. He's constantly. He was working at PV and these other companies. He was a rep for them. He does his coffee. He did. So much stuff he's doing. That guy, the Metal Allegiance he does.
Bob, have you tried the coffee?
I haven't. Is it good?
I haven't got mine yet. I ordered some. I did buy some. I bought some She-Wolf. I'm looking to see that. I'll try it on the air.
I know he's a huge coffee connoisseur, so I assume it would be good. I'm wondering if because Mustaine did his coffee for a while. I wonder if he's just kind of passing it down to Ellison, and because now Mustaine's all into the beer, and I hear that Mustaine beer is really good. I haven't had a chance to taste the Megadeth beer. I had the Iron Maiden beer, which is quite good, but he's doing beer and wine, so coffee. I know Charlie Benante's got a coffee. A lot of the people are doing. Steelheart had coffee for a while. That was actually available at Ralph's, which was a major chain. They did quite well with their coffee.
Steelheart coffee?
Steelheart coffee. This was a couple years ago, and I actually saw it in a lot of the major grocery chains.
Yeah, I'll
but
pass
I think they did it before
coffee.
A lot of the. Yeah, I know. It surprised me, but again, if it's a catchy name. I mean, I'm sure probably 80% or 90% of the people that purchase coffee probably doesn't know who the hell Steelheart is. They probably just saw it on the shelf and go, "Oh, this is new. This is a cool, catchy name." And,
right.
Whatever. I don't know.
No. I did buy some Mega Dave coffee, and I will give a review as soon as I get it.
Oh, this is the Mustaine or the David?
No, the Ellison, the junior coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm looking
let me
forward
know.
to it.
I'd be curious to know.
I will let everybody know. I will give a CMS review.
There you go.
Well,
so what's up, Neely? Now Neely's all silent.
No, I didn't want to interrupt the coffee talk.
Well, you're the big coffee drinker. You drink coffee with whipped cream, don't you, every morning?
I don't think so.
I just have to show that I do listen to the show. You buy your whipped cream with your 6 wine bottles at the grocery store.
Right, and it's not whipped cream.
Yeah, I know. Now I know all your routine. I could be one of your stalkers now.
Yeah.
I know everything you do.
Yeah.
You go to the Home Depot and you get pissed off when people are trying to drive into your fucking parking spot.
Right.
Right.
I just like to stay away from everybody, Bob.
You're just a miserable fuck. Man.
I am a miserable fuck. You know me.
Yeah.
Just
That's
miserable
right.
and grumping around all day.
That's right. Old man Neely.
That's me.
Dude, I can't wait till you get 10 years older. How jaded and how bitter you're going to be back then. You are really going to be an old man Neely.
I won't be going out anymore.
You'll stay home. Well, you pretty much don't go out anywhere.
Hey, dude, I flew out to L.A. 3 times last year on two occasions were on your behalf.
Well, that is true. But I'm talking about just during the week. I mean, Chris is out going to concerts, going to see Stephen Piercy, going to see John Corabi. To get you out to go see a show, it's, what is it, once every 3 months, Neely?
I was out 2 weekends in a row, Bob. 2 weekends in a row. And Stephen Piercy.
Oh, that's a record for you, Neely.
It is a record.
Old man Neely actually getting out of the house.
Look at you bagging on me, Bob.
Love it.
Yeah, you were bagging on Decibel Geek Chris. So
I was not bagging on him, not at all. But I'm glad you still enjoy tuning in and listening to our nonsense.
I do. I love it. I figured this would give me a good excuse to call in, since I'm a fellow podcaster.
You are a fellow podcaster.
Indeed.
You're just a fellow in general.
So who you got any interviews today, or?
Nah, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore. You're our main interview.
Well, when you post the interviews, are those just something you do separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Because our fans they don't like them. They don't like listening to the interviews. They just
again, why do you guys give a fuck about your fans? It's like people giving a fuck about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or about the Grammy. Don't even give a fuck about don't even give your fans credit, dude. Don't even talk about them, and then you won't even have any fans.
That's what I'm saying. Now you're in my zone, Bob. Fuck these guys.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, we just
fucking Jackal. All he does is bitch about when you don't do a live show.
Well, he's a cunt.
Where's Tim James, man? Let's get old school, man. Where's the fucking evil Batman? Where's Cerberus? I wanna hear from Tesla Rocker. I want to hear from all these old school fuckers. Where's MOL? Why don't you do an old school CMS night?
Yeah.
It's got to be all people from the first 10 years to call.
Right.
Wow. You probably really wouldn't like that.
I want to get a follow-up on him.
If it was the first 10 years, you probably really wouldn't like that show. Because you know what all their calls would be? Can you play Y&T, Summertime Girls? That's my favorite, man.
I think I tuned into you guys. When did I tune into you guys? 2006. 6, 7? Okay, so you were already, that was about 10 years in, right?
that was after the very first 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
You tuned in at the beginning of the second 10 years.
Yeah.
All right. So that was just pretty close to when you just got in there then, Chris.
Yeah, pretty much, because the first 10 years was, dude, I love Jackal, man. I like that Screwdriver song they do. It's awesome.
Was that Tim James calling then?
Oh, that would have been so-and-so from Akron, as
Tim's
opposed to so-and-so from Akron.
Ah. Oh, that was when it was terrestrial then, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
The first 7 years was terrestrial. The next 3 years was internet only. And then Chris joined in about 2005.
Right.
There you go. See, everyone's getting a little CMS history lesson.
Yep.
Anyway, I better fucking go now. I'm sure I'm boring all your fucking listeners who are so goddamn important to you guys.
So when's the next screening, Bob? You got an anticipated time for a new screening?
Well, like I said, they're editing. Carl and Curtis from SNU is editing the Rise of LA Thrash Metal. So they're putting that together. I gave them all my notes. I got all the videos and music. So we're just a matter of them placing everything in there. And we're looking for a late spring screening for that. And then that should be coming out in this summer. I mean, this is what we're hoping for. And then the San Francisco one that you guys are in is going to follow that. And that'll be coming out closer to the, it'll probably separate about 6 months apart. So I would say closer to September, October, November time. And but we do plan to have them both out this year. So And then the band versus brand will also be coming out this year as well. So some good stuff to look forward to.
All right. Well, I'll make some plans and fly on out again.
I will let you know well in advance, Mr. Neely, and we will give you the red carpet treatment, and I'll set you up with a bunch of swishy guys.
All right. I'll actually leave the house for that.
All right. Well, let's see if we can get Chris's ass out there, and if Chris comes down, I'll put an exclusive invite out to the Bay Boys.
I'm all in for the Bay Boys.
All right. Well, wait a second. Eddie Rocks is telling me it's time to leave. Bob, quit blathering. All right.
All right, Bob, your producer says it's time for you to go.
I guess no, it's not my producer. My producer's telling you guys to fuck off. It's your fans that's telling me to go.
All right, Bob,
guys.
We'll catch up again.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
Hail and kill.
Hail and kill. Fuck you, pal, and hand job.
There you go. And there goes Bob.
Nice.
Wow, he filled a lot of time.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Bob had a lot to say tonight.
I don't think you thought we were going to talk about this for almost 2 hours now, did you?
Yeah, but that was good, though. I like that. I like Bob's insight.
Sure.
Now, there's a guy who's busy all the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Traveling all over the place, Southern California, Northern California, Las Vegas, chasing after interviews.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, would you enjoy doing that job?
No.
I didn't think so. I know you hate to travel.
I hate to travel. I would hate it. They'd have to come to me. And they wouldn't, so I'd never get a documentary out.
So that documentarian is not in Chris's future endeavors.
Unless I'm doing a documentary on what's in my fridge, it ain't happening.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, I think I need another drink, and we'll make the last push. And just remember that the clocks move forward tonight. Actually, it's after 2 o'clock your time, so it's actually after 3 your time now.
That's 3:22 here, so.
Yep.
So we're ending on time tonight so that I'm not here until fucking sunup.
Yeah, and I'm doing something uncharacteristic tomorrow, which I'll talk about after the break.
All right, cool.
All right. Any song suggestions, sir?
I want to hear something from Heathen.
Heathen, all right.
How about that?
Yeah, Heathen.
I don't care what song. Just pick something from Heathen.
Okay. I got some Heathen pulled up here. Let me take a look real quick. Heathen. Victims of Deception. Break the Silence. Oh, I know what I'm going to play. I'm going to play No Stone Unturned. This one sounds very Queensryche-ish.
All right.
This sounds more like Queensryche than Queensryche had in a long time prior to the departure of Jeff Tate.
Well, there you go.
So if you like Queensryche, I think you're going to dig this song. So here's Heathen, exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
This is Dave White from Heathen, and you're listening to this Classic Metal Show.